Hello, guys, and welcome to the Mad About Sports live stream. So, we are live for a first time after a very, very long time. And of course, as you all know, it is IPL season, which is high in brewing. A lot of teams are running away with it, you can say at this point, but the table looks very, very tight. So, yeah, today we're going to be talking about the second week of IPL, what all has happened over the last 1 week. If you look at the second week of IPL, it's been highly intense to start off with that game from Kolkata Knight Riders with the Gujarat Titans. Since that day, it's all been high octane clashes. Then the game against RCB versus Lucknow Super Giants went into the last ball. Then you saw Chennai Rajasthan, another last over finish. So it's been a crazy week of cricket to want to say so. And last night's extremely good encounter as well when Rajasthan took on Gujarat Titans. When last year's two finalists locked horns, it was another exciting game where it went down to the last over where many thought at some point, this couldn't be chased down by Shimron Hetman and Sanju Samson taking pole position. So, of course, we are back with the analysis. We're going to be talking about what are the basic talking points from last week's and who are the players to really watch out for in the coming week and who are the teams to really take the pole position in the coming week as well. So let's start off by looking at the points table because it's so important to understand where the teams stand after the second week of IPL. If you look, Rajasthan Royals have been phenomenal so far. You have to say it. They've been the team to beat so far in this IPL. They've gone on to defeat last year's winners rather, in Gujarat Titans. Now, when you talk about Gujarat Titans and Rajasthan Royals last year, they faced three of the occasions, and Rajasthan Royals went on to lose on all three occasions, which includes the qualifying number one and also the final, and also one of the group games as well. So Rajasthan Royals will be very happy and very content with the fact that they went on to defeat one of the nemesis of the last season, which is Gujarat Titans, and last year's defending champions, of course, as well. Now, when you talk about Lucknow Super Giants as well, a very good week for them. You have to start off by talking about that RCB versus Lucknow game where they were absolutely on top of their powers in terms of chasing that mammoth score of 212. That would have given them a lot of confidence, but eventually they went on to lose later on in the week as well. But that shouldn't really shake their confidence because that again was a tough pitch to bat on in Lucknow against Punjab Kings. The Punjab Kings is a very impressive team. Before we go to Gujarat Titans, we have to talk about Punjab Kings and their good season so far. A lot of people at the start of the season did not really expect Punjab Kings to have the season they are having at this point because number one, you have to say when you talk about Punjab Kings, the team, a lot of people did write them off considering there was no Johnny Bairstow, a new captaincy once again, nothing really going their way. But then somewhere or the other, you have to say it has to come down to Shikhar Dhawan's atmosphere, Shikhar Dhawan's aura as a captain. If you have all seen Shikhar Dhawan, the captain, even with Team India, whenever he has gotten to captain, he's a very chill character. That really helps in or to galvanize the team, you can say so, because especially when you talk about Punjab Kings, they've been phenomenal in terms of the way in which they've gone about things. Shikhar Dhawan's Shikhar Dhawan, the way he carries, the way he's with youngsters, that certainly helps, especially when you're around with youngsters, and especially when you're trying to build a team. And this team is under transition. There's a lot of young players. You've talked about Sam Curran, who was given that responsibility. You've talked about someone like a Matthew Short, who they brought in from Big Bash League. So one of the most unexpected teams to be there in the top four at this point of stage is certainly Punjab Kings, and the way they are having the way they're going about their things, they should be one of the surprise entries into top four from a lot of the predictions we all did. Because when a lot of people did predict Punjab Kings was not there in any of their top four, everybody predicted Punjab to be in the bottom half of the table. That's also primarily because of a lot of other external factors surrounding Punjab Kings, because they always deceive people with the kind of 11 they are. They always look good on paper. If you have talked about from 2008, they've always been a good team on paper as well. So that's been the case, right? Thoughts on Sanju Samson as a captain? Yeah, we will come to this. A very interesting question right here. So let's talk about Sanju Samson, the captain, right? Because you talk about Rajasthan Royals. One of the most interesting, or a thing which is on the face of it, is Rajasthan Royals is the most tactically astute team of this season's IPL. Why do I say so? Number one, if you look at the decisions they have made throughout the season, the way they have used Ravichandran Ashwin, not a lot of teams have been able to use or utilize Ravichandran Ashwin like the way Rajasthan have did over the last couple of seasons. How many teams in the past have really realized the potential of Ravichandran Ashwin as a batter? or how many teams have really made Ashwin to be really part of the management side of things. But Rajasthan Royals, what they have done alongside Kumar Sangakkara and Sanju Samson is make these senior players really feel like, okay, they really own the dressing room. They really are the ones who are going to make certain decisions as well. So a lot of decisions which Rajasthan Royals have taken on the field, off the field, especially when it comes to impact players, have also come out very well for them. Now, when you talk about Sanju Samson's aura as a captain, he looks extremely calm. There's a certain bit of calmness when he's out there to bat as well. Now, one of the primary examples is yesterday's game, isn't it? Because if you talk about yesterday's game where things were not going very well for Rajasthan Royals in the first 10 overs, just scoring 50, but as a neutral watching the game, you always knew Rajasthan was never out of that game. What is that? Why is that? That's primarily because Sanju Samson was still there at the crease. And that is an aura which we get when Mahendra Singh Dhoni used to bat. Now, to compare him with Mahendra Singh Dhoni himself is a big thing, because it's never easy to get to that guy, get to Mahendra Singh Dhoni's levels. But he's certainly improved. His graph as a captain has certainly been on a upward climb. We can say so. Every season you could see an improvement from the time he took over in 2021 to what he is now. There's a steady improvement in the way he has really gone about things. So I think one of the reasons why Sanju Samson is looked upon in the cricketing circuits at this point of time as a very calm captain with a tactically astute mind, you have to give credit to someone like a Kumar Sangakkara, because he's been really feeding him some really good information. And if you have seen Kumar Sangakkara as a captain, even for Sri Lanka, he's been tactically very astute, and that's been one thing he's been able to implement. And you have to also say the backroom staff, right, of Rajasthan Royals, with Lasan Malinga being a part of it, a bowler who's always been tactically outfoxing batters, and that team looks like a team who's really the team who has been able to outclass oppositions with their tactics. Now, talking about which, they play three spinners, playing Adam Zampa, Yuzvendra Chahal, Ravichandran Ashwin, and bowling spinners in the death overs. Not a lot of teams have really understood this. This year's IPL, the least number of runs have been conceded by the spinners in the death overs. So that is a very interesting thing, because okay, we have another question as well. Can RCB win it this time? I'll come to that. But talking about which, I personally think not a lot of teams have been able to use that spinners. The way in which the spinners have been able to operate, it's been very tough to get away. If you talk about previous seasons, you could line up against spinners. Now, especially if you talk about Adam Zampa, Varun Chakravarti, or to an extent even Ravichandran Ashwin, they've really been able to, think smarter this time. Be one step ahead of the batters. Even when the batters are coming up against them, they've been able to use those longer boundaries. Especially if you're going to play in grounds like Ahmedabad, for example, Chennai, for example. As spinners, you feel a lot more confident to toss the ball up a little bit more. Yesterday, you saw that when Adam Zampa was bowling in the 19th over of a game. How often have you seen Yuzvendra Chahal and Adam Zampa sharing the load in the death overs? It's extremely tough. First thing, Dew really puts a heavy pressure on a lot of these spinners. So Rajasthan Royals have to be given credit there for using spinners and also using someone like a Sandeep Sharma. A lot of people did write off Sandeep Sharma after last season. People thought it was the end of Sandeep Sharma. He got unsold in the auction. The way he has been coming back into the team, he's been doing a phenomenal job. You have to say that last over which he bowled to MS Dhoni was one of the toughest over any bowler can ball in the world right now or ever. And the way he executed those plans, he missed the Yorker 3 times, he went for maximum 3 times. But the 3 times he did execute, it did come up pretty well. Now let's take the next question, which can also be win. That's where I'm coming to. But let's look at the points table once again. Now we have to say, it's never been easy, isn't it? Especially when you talk about the Punjab Kings team as well. But let's talk about Gujarat Titans. What has not really gone their way, number one, because we've always praised them as a team. They've been phenomenal. You have to say Ashish Nehra looks like a football manager rather on the sidelines, always very vocal, giving out the messages to captain, to the fielders, trying to say these are the tactics to go about it. He gives you an aura of more like a football manager, more than a cricket coach, who's very calm in the dressing room. So that's one thing about Ashish Nehra and Gujarat Titans. So really, what really sets them apart. But Gujarat Titans' team has been pretty decent. If you have to bar those two games against Rajasthan Royals and Kolkata Knight Riders, two games which they were in winning position, they let it go. Now, what is the common factor in these two games? It is the death bowling once again. Are Gujarat Titans finally facing an issue with dead bowling? If you look at the last season, they batted second in most of these occasions, right? And on most of those occasions, what happened was they really went on to, really went on to, put a thumping performance. Especially, they were able to chase down any total from any point of stage. So that was one major factor if you look at the last season, if you compare it with this season. Now that has been the stark contrast. Now I'll just put you another stat as well for Gujarat Titans from the last season. We've already done a video on Gujarat Titans. So you see that that's the whole point. They batted second on 9 of the occasions, and they only batted first on 7 of the occasions. You have to say on 9 of those occasions when they went on to win it, you have to say they are a team who have always preferred, chasing a total down. They've always been a team who have always preferred to, chase a total down from any point of state. They've got the finishers to do it. So now whenever they've set the total, they found themselves in jittery positions. Even if you look last season, there were a couple of occasions where you really felt like the death bowling is an issue. Mohammad Shami is extremely good, especially when it comes to picking up wickets up front. But can he do that same job towards the latter end of the game? It certainly looks like he struggles, and we have seen that struggle with Mohammad Shami in Team India as well. So that is one area which Gujarat Titans would want to improve and, look forward to. They have options. If you look at Mohit Sharma, is a bowler whom they can really invest upon in the death overs. Even yesterday's game as well, you have to say that they could have possibly used him a little bit more. They only used him for 2 overs. He went for seven runs. It does not really make sense not to give him the third or fourth over when he was been bowling well. So these are factors which they have to really look into for Gujarat Titans, because too good a team to be really, missing out, if they have an issue with dead bowling. But if you look at in a 10-team IPL season, a lot of these teams have weakness. There's no team in this season's IPL or even from the last season which do not have any weakness. But the team who makes least mistakes despite of having this weakness will eventually go on to do well. Now that is the issue when you have a lot of these players spread across. Now if you talk about 2020, 2019, you saw a lot of these perfect teams. You have to talk about Mumbai Indians of 2020. They were close to near perfect. Now from 2022 onwards, after the mega auction, you have to say there has been major holes, and that's one of the reasons why you can't really pinpoint and say okay, this is the most perfect team. So you're talking about Rajasthan Royals being one of the best teams because they have been able to do a good job despite of having many weaknesses as well. Now let's talk about Kolkata Knight Riders. Having a tough week for them, right? After that win against Gujarat Titans, not really everything has gone their way. Went on to lose to Mumbai Indians as well in a very heavy margin. So they will not be certainly pleased with what has happened over the last 1 week after having a very good start to the IPL. They got the momentum. Now are they letting go of the momentum? It's a question which they'll have to answer pretty quickly, because IPL can be pretty mean. The moment you start losing momentum, you can get on streaks which you do not want to get on. These losing streaks can hamper your confidence as a team as well as you move forward, as you look forward into the deep end of the IPL as well. So that's where, as a team, the Kolkata Knight Riders would want to galvanize better and come back by putting up a better performance. Now, what are the bright prospect of Kolkata Knight Riders? If you look, the game against Sunrisers Hyderabad, you can say though they lost that game, there were a lot of bright prospects in that game. They went on to score 200 while chasing 230. Now, if you talk about the game against Mumbai Indians, Venkatesh Iyer coming to form. Now, if you look at the orange cap leaders, you have to say Venkatesh Iyer is right on top of it. Now, Venkatesh Iyer has been right on top of it. That's because of the 100 which he scored. The first 100 for Kolkata Knight Riders in 15 years. That's a massive achievement. The last time someone in Kolkata Knight Riders scored 100, it was Brendan McCullum in the opening game of IPL, and that was it. And he's the second ever player to do it so in Kolkata Knight Riders jersey. So that is a bright prospect for Kolkata Knight Riders. But at the same time, bowling is a massive concern for Kolkata Knight Riders. They will really have to up their game going ahead, considering the fact that Umesh Yadav hasn't been able to swing the ball. Now, what has happened with Umesh Yadav? If you look at Umesh Yadav from the last 1 month, if you ever consider also Border Gavaskar Trophy, it's not been best of times for Umesh Yadav, the bowler. You have to say he's also in the latter age, or where he's coming towards the wrong end of 30 to 35 right now. He's been extremely fit, but as a fast bowler, when you're bowling at that constantly at that pressure situation, you have to say every bowler comes through a stage where he will be draining out. He will be missing out on his rhythm, and that's something which we are seeing from Umesh Yadav as well. He has lost his shape. Now, if you talk about Umesh Yadav potency in the last IPL, one of the biggest strengths which Umesh Yadav had was to swing the ball up front, to get those early wickets up front. That's gone missing. He's been trying to ball everywhere and is not able to land at the right length. Even you saw it in the Border Gavaskar Trophy in the Test in Ahmedabad as well. Umesh Yadav was all over the place. He wasn't really able to get his length. it could be a rhythmic factor. It could be certain injury which he's carrying. Now that's one thing which Kolkata Knight Riders will have to take a call on, whether do they have to go with someone like Umesh Yadav or look for another option, because they have someone called Vaibhav Arora who has performed extremely well in IPL in the limited opportunities he's gotten. He's got a mean in swinger which comes in pretty well as well. So that's one option they can consider. And now Lockie Ferguson. Lockie Ferguson has been a curious case for some time, even in international cricket and also in certain other cricket as well. Now, when you talk about Lockie Ferguson in particular, you have to say Lockie Ferguson hasn't really stepped up. Even for New Zealand, he's been leaking runs at a very consistent basis. Now, that's where Nitish Rana, Chandrakant Pandit will have to identify these players and give them a wide role description. If you're going to use Lockie Ferguson towards the latter end, he's really lost that death balling ability, you can say. He's been balling way too many loose balls in the death. You're giving away cheap full tosses also, one can say so, and that's going to really hamper a team, especially if you're a team which is heavily reliant on your mystery spinners in Varun Chakravarti and Sunil Narayan. The moment you start attacking two of them, the team really gets disjointed, and that's been something which the teams have been doing so well in Sunrisers Hyderabad versus Kolkata Knight Riders game and the Mumbai Indians versus Kolkata Knight Riders game. There's been one common factor, which is that the teams have looked to target the mystery spinners and to disjoin Kolkata Knight Riders completely, and that's not really gone well with them. So Kolkata Knight Riders will really have to pull up their socks. Now let's talk about Chennai Super Kings, right? Now, if you talk about number 6 and number 7, Chennai Super Kings, Royal Challengers Bangalore, two teams who have two teams who have had 2 wins so far in the table. But at the same time, you have the Chennai Super Kings coming after a loss against Rajasthan Royals. They'll be slightly unhappy with what happened that day. Because when you have MS Dhoni to bat towards the latter end, you really believe on 9 out of 10 occasions that you would be able to pull that off. But then when you are unable to do that, so you'll have to say that things don't go your way, and you just have to accept it and move on. That's something which Kolkata Knight Riders will really, really feel that they've been hard done by. And now going and looking ahead, you have to say that what I'm talking about, Chennai Super Kings will be hard done by. Now, when you are looking ahead, you have to say that Chennai Super Kings the RCB game is a massive game later today. Because for both these teams, in the larger context of things, you would want to start winning and you would want to get on a roll, be on the safer side of things. This looks like a table. This looks like one of those years, maybe barring Delhi Capitals, this could be a jam in the middle. This could be one of those years where you might be fighting for 3 to 4 spots and where a lot of teams might be tied on even points. So you would want to take those early advantages, get 2 points wherever it's available, and both RCB and Chennai Super Kings, closely contest. We have always seen closely contested games between these two sides. Two strong teams of this year's IPL. You have to say, they would want to go against each other. They would want to get that upper hand, and because for RCB especially, they would prefer getting that win over Chennai Super Kings in Chinnaswamy rather than them going to Chepauk and getting the win. Because in Chepauk, it's extremely tough to win because of the conditions there, because of the spin factor which comes into play as well. So one of the reasons why RCB will be looking to get that win over Chennai Super Kings will be in Chinnaswamy. But when you talk about Chennai Super Kings in particular, nothing has been going well for them this season when it comes to injuries. You already have seen Simarjeet Singh getting injured. You have to say you've already seen already seen Mahendra Singh Dhoni for the likes have been in slight bit of bother as well. Primarily because he's had a knee issue right prior to the IPL as well. As the IPL have started, things have not really gone his way when it comes to the knee issue. He's been still recovering, but he's still batting beautifully. You saw that when it came to his running between the wickets. Now the Dhoni of the old, he was struggling a little bit. He was limping a little bit, one can say so. Now that's one factor which Chennai Super Kings will be slightly worried with, but there is no concern with him missing out on the match. So Chennai Super Kings would want to address their injury issue very quickly. Sasanda Magala as well will not be taking part in the IPL for 2 weeks because of a split webbing. So they'll have to look at someone like a Dwayne Pretorius to step into his position. He's done a very good job. Mahesh Tikshana's inclusion is a positive factor for them. But at the same time, would you have wanted to go in with someone like a Mitchell Santner, because he's done a good job with Ravindra Jadeja in the couple of games they won, and that's where Chennai Super Kings will be seriously considering to bring back that duo of Mitchell Santner and Ravindra Jadeja, because that also adds that depth in the batting order. Now, talking about which, Chennai Super Kings will want their overseas players to step up, especially Devin Conway and Moeen Ali to step up in a big way. Coming to this IPL, you have to say Moeen Ali was not in the best of forms. We've got some questions as well. We have talked about any fantasy prediction, which I will be giving out, and underrated players to watch out for. So when we talk about underrated players to watch out for, when you talk about Chennai Super Kings, I think Rajvardhan Hangargekar, if he gets a nod ahead, you have to watch out for him, because he's a guy for the long term. He can bat very well as well. If you've seen his domestic performance with Maharashtra, there were a couple of occasions where he really took the team home with his batting exploits, and with the ball, Give the time, he can hit mid 140s, and he's got a very good yorker, very good bouncer. He's got a very similar run up and approach to the crease like Jasprit Bumrah as well. Now these are factors, these are positive elements for a bowler like Rajwardhan Hangarekar, and his ball really comes in sharp as well. If he develops an outswinger over the years, he's still very raw. That's one of the reasons why he's not getting the nod ahead, because Chennai Super Kings, as a team, they've always believed in developing players, and finally, when they feel he's ready to go, they put him in the big mix. You saw him make his debut against Gujarat Titans in that first match. He did a beautiful job there. Now, another player, an underrated player to watch out for, is certainly someone like Vijay Kumar Vaishak as well, because he's had a phenomenal domestic season with Karnataka, helping them to reach Ranji Trophy final, and also with Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy as well. He made his IPL debut, picked up 3 wickets once again against Delhi Capitals. He's got a phenomenal change of pace. If you've watched him inside Mustaq Ali Trophy, he troubled a lot of paces because he's got a very quick action, Vijay Kumar Vaishak, and because of which a lot of batters don't expect different change-ups coming his way. He's got a knuckle ball, he's got the back of the hand, he's got an off cutter, he's got a leg cutter, he's got a very good yorker and a good bouncer as well. A complete package, a T20 bowler, and red ball format, he swings the ball pretty well as well. He sweeps the ball on condition. So Vijay Kumar Vaishak, Rajwardhan Hangarekar are two players to watch out for. To be exact. And of course, if you have to talk about one batter, you have to say from Chennai Super Kings camp, if at all Senapati gets an opportunity as well, watch out for him. He's a very exciting talent. If I have to talk about another player to watch out for from tonight's clash, if at all, if it's a impact substitute, Suresh Prabhu Desai and also Manoj Mandange are two players who you should be watching out for, because these two players have had phenomenal domestic seasons leading up to this particular tournament. And if they get a nod ahead at any point of stage, they will certainly be looking to make a statement in a tournament like IPL. Now you already saw Yudhvir Singh Charak, phenomenal player. You have to say that he was been waiting in the wings for way too long of time. Finally got an opportunity. He was with the Mumbai Indians camp as well. Another player from Kashmir, who's got a phenomenal bowling pace, is hitting the right lengths as well. If at all, at any point of stage, if another bowler really gets another nod ahead, it's Avinash Kumar Singh from Kashmir as well. Another raw talent. People say he's from very similar school of Umran Malik. He's been scouted for a very long period of time. Very raw yet, but watch out for him. He can make some really, he can trouble a lot of batters with his pace. He can bowl close to 150 is what we are hearing in the reports as well. So these are some of the underrated players to watch out for if at all they get an opportunity. Some of the youngsters to watch out for. Let's move to the next team. We've been talking about Royal Challengers Bangalore as well. Let's talk about Royal Challengers Bangalore before we go into Mumbai Indians, because Mumbai Indians have also gotten the winning role. Now, when you talk about Royal Challengers Bangalore, heavy heartbreak loss for them against Lucknow Super Giants. Things not really go their way with the ball. That's been the case with Chinnaswamy, isn't it? Because in the last 3 seasons, Royal Challengers Bangalore were able to make the playoffs consistently, primarily because of the fact that they did not play in Chinnaswamy. As much as the crowd support they get from Chinnaswamy, it's not been a good ground for RCB to play upon. Number one, the boundaries are small, and especially when you're trying to defend totals, even if it's in excess of 200, it is a tough and a mean ground for bowlers to say. So it in one sense you can say is a nightmare for any bowler in the world. We've seen some of the greatest of bowlers travel for runs. Now, two reasons why. In Bangalore, it's situated 80-50 meters above the sea level, so the ball does travel. Now, if you have to compare with a certain international ground, you have to say you could compare with Bullring in South Africa. It's also situated in a higher sea level, and things. Once you hit, the ball stays hit, so the ball does travel, and the dimensions of the boundary with 50 meters boundary behind square, and 65 meters boundary on the square, and straight boundaries being close to 69 to 70 meters. It's easy. For a modern day batter, it's just like clearing any other boundary in the world. It's like maybe half the boundary in Australia. So you have to say it is tough place for bowlers to bowl. And once the dew comes in, it becomes a nightmare. And the pitch is an absolute belter as well. So RCB's things have not really gone well, and that's one of the reasons why they were unable to defend 212 as well. So for RCB, they'll be hoping with Vijay Kumar Vaishak's inclusion and with their batters coming good, they would really want to do a job. But their concern will be the middle order batting. Who is going to really play that impact substitute role? Because Anuj Rawat had a nightmare of a game against Delhi Capitals. It did not really backfire for them when it comes to them not able to set up that big score, because they were able to defend it. But on another day, that knock would have been detrimental for Royal Challengers Bangalore. So they'll have to identify their impact sub and use them to best of effects. If it is a batter, is entry points of these batters are going to be extremely, extremely important, because according to that, you can really develop, you can really put up a score. Because Anuj Rawat has never batted in the middle of the order or lower middle order for that liking. So if you're going to put up a opener who prefers to bat in the power play in the lower middle order, it's definitely not going to come good. So that's where RCB will have to consider two of their power hitters in Suyesh Prabhudesai and Manoj Bandange on the sidelines to see if they can do a job, finishing a job for them, even if at all they do have a collapse. And they'll also be hoping that Dinesh Karthik comes good, because he's had a couple of bad games, two scores of knots. But you can't really blame him. He came in situations where he really had to take the attack on, and that's the thing with finishers. They'll have more bad days and than good days, isn't it? So let's look at Mumbai Indians. Two wins in a row now, one against Delhi Capitals and one massive, massive win against Kolkata Knight Riders at home. That's going to give them a lot of confidence now going into this game. So we've got Kundan asking us, why are spinners taking more wickets than pacers this time? Yeah, so this is something which we already did cover on how spinners have been a lot more attacking. So if you look at the trajectory of the spinners this time around, it's been a lot more attacking for a lot of reasons. If you look at let's take Yuzvendra Chahal, right? He is one of the classic spinners out there when it comes to him tossing the ball up a lot more. But if you look at batters as well, they are expecting pace on the ball. The primary example is Virat Kohli for that reason. Virat Kohli has been batting beautifully. He scored 350s already. But there is a considerable downslide in his strike rate once the spinners come into ball. The strike rate against spinners this season is 107 in comparison with fast ballers, which is 168 to 170. So that is the difference, right? Once the spinners have come into ball, some of the surfaces have also stuck a lot. It has not been very easy, especially batting first. Some of the surfaces have really held up, so spinners have come into play a lot more. If you talk about surfaces like Lucknow, surfaces like Chennai for that liking, and day games, especially in certain surfaces like Mumbai as well, the surfaces have really been conducive to spinners. Where if you're trying to toss the ball, if you're trying to give some air, you will get something off the surface. So spinners have been able to do a job there, and batters have not really been able to play spin well. You have to really agree that the quality of playing spin in this year's IPL has been really bad. We are talking about some of the top international stars in particular as well. They've not really enjoyed facing the spinners. They really want the pace on the ball, and that's also primarily because of the T20 game. They want to just stand and deliver rather than use their feet, come down the track, and maybe go rock back in the back foot and really use spinners to best of effect. That's why you have to give credit to someone like a Sanju Samson last night for the way in which he took on Rashid Khan. We are talking about Rashid Khan, right, who did not concede a boundary for 100 balls in PSL. Now, come the IPL, you already saw Venkatesh Iyer go after him. You already saw Sanju Samson take him down for three sixes in an over. How many times have you seen Rashid Khan go for three sixes in an over? A week before, he picked up 3 wickets in an over by picking up a hat trick, and a week later, he went for three sixes in an over. So, such is the game. There are some players who have been playing spin extremely well, but certainly players play the skill level of playing spin has certainly come down, and we're talking about domestic stars as well. There have been some bright prospects. You have to say Venkatesh Iyer has been one of the bright prospects in terms of playing spin. Drinku Singh, though he has played pace balls really well, his ability against spin is still questionable. Nitish Rana is another player who has played spin very well. You have to say Tilak Varma has done a decent job as well, but still yet to be put up against a quality spinner. So there are some players who've been playing spin extremely well. Aiden Markham has done a decent job for Sunrisers Hyderabad when he's gotten that opportunity. Let's talk about Harry Brook for that example, because Harry Brook has had a good season when it comes to scoring that 100, but if his ability against spin is still questionable, because he was protected against spin by Aiden Markram throughout that innings so that he does not get exposed to someone like Varun Chakravarti or Sunil Narayan. And if you look in that innings, he scored 36 runs of 29 balls with a spin, and rest of the runs, whatever he scored 64 runs with pace bowling over there. So that was a major difference. In the 22 balls, he scored 64 runs against pace. So a lot of these players, international players and also domestic players, are much more comfortable of playing spin or playing pace rather than spin. So even if you look, a lot of these players have not been ruffled up by putting up high pace. Let's talk about someone like Dhruv Jorel, for example. He looked extremely comfortable against ball coming in excess of 140, 150. Shah Rukh Khan also has been playing pace really well. But when you're putting a good quality spinner against them, they've been unable to read them as well. Something which you don't associate with players from subcontinent. That's why you have to question that, especially in limited overs format, the skill level has dropped down extremely, extremely low. So for Mumbai Indians, they'll be hoping they continue this run. Surya Kumar Yadav captained them for the second time. Surya Kumar Yadav is back in form for a certain bit. So you have to say Surya Kumar Yadav is a bright prospect for them, and they'll be really hoping that they'll continue this run. Let's talk about Sunrisers Hyderabad. After the two bad games they had, they are back. will Rinku Singh be considered for Team India? I'll take this question up, Mohi. We will talk about Rinku Singh's inclusion into Team India. Whether can he be considered for the T20 World Cup in 2024? Sunrisers Hyderabad, a good start for them. A good start after having that two consecutive losses. They'll be really feeling that they'll be getting some momentum to go to Kolkata and defeat Kolkata Knight Riders is one of the toughest job in the world, and they have done that quite well by scoring 230 runs. Where Harry Brooks scored that 100, that's going to give them a lot of relief. You also Aiden Markham, the captain, step up with runs. Andre Klaassen stepping up with the bat towards Latvian, but they'll be concerned with their bowling and they'll be concerned with Mayank Agarwal's form at this point. Now, if I have to tactically or technically break down Mayank Agarwal, there are two reasons why Mayank Agarwal is not scoring runs. Number one, we've always seen Mayank Agarwal's back left being extremely high. Now, one of the things which I've been able to notice of Mayank Agarwal lately, even in domestic circuit when he played for Karnataka, is that the backlift which comes down as at the higher backlift which he's got has been really making him come be late on the ball. Now, be delayed on the ball rather. Now, there's a thin difference between playing the ball late and playing the ball delayed. Now, the delayed approach to the ball or delayed contact point with the ball is when your timing is absolutely off, when you're being slightly more later than what you should ideally be. Now, always it's often said by commentators and pundits that play the ball as late as possible to see how far the ball turns, so how far the ball swings. But what is Mike Agarwal been able to do that? Not certainly. He's been playing the ball slightly more delayed, so his contact points have been slightly more behind in this season in comparison with previous seasons as well. So that's a concern for someone like a Mayank Agarwal, which he will be liking to improve in the coming games. Now, if you look at that innings which he played even against Kolkata Knight Riders, you saw him being extremely delayed when he faced Lockie Ferguson for that liking. That bat was coming down at an angle which was not certainly helping him to contact the ball at the right time at the right spaces. So that was an issue for Mayank Agarwal, and that was an issue why he was dropped off the Indian Test team as well. So now he'll be wanting to improve that. Mayank Agarwal has always relied on his timing. His best of cricket in 2020 2021 in IPL have come always when he's contacted that ball right at the right spot. Getting the stride on. Trying to play that shot, especially the front foot cover drives and those straight drives have always come when he's played the ball at the right time. The timing has always been his biggest strength, but now he's slightly more delayed on the ball. One of the reasons why even against spinners he's looked to struggle a little bit. That's putting him in a lot of overthoughts as well. He's one of the best players in the spin in the country, but because of his recent run of forms, that's not giving him that confidence to approach spinners as the well he'd like to approach. So that's one considered factor which they'd want to improve as well. Now going ahead, let's talk about this question, right? So we have to talk about Rinku Singh in Team India. Now, for Rinku Singh, his couple of performance enough to justify his spot in Team India? Definitely not, because he's done a good job in domestic circuit as well. But I think he might get a nod ahead in some of the A tours or some of the lesser tours. I think India are touring Zimbabwe very soon, so he might get that nod ahead in some of these low profile series and see how he goes about it. But not certainly a long term run. Maybe for now at least, but you never know a T20 team, right? They'd want a left-hander in the middle order who can do a job, and he's been doing a finisher's job as well. And India needs a finisher at this point. So if he can be developed as a finisher towards Latvian, primarily as a finisher, then you never know. Rinku Singh can get that opportunity at this point. So Harshad Agarwal has asked us who has been the best two teams after week two. I have to say, if you look at the points table as well, you have to say it's Rajasthan Royals who have really, really been the best team. When you talk about the second team, it's a tough one because no other team has really been consistent or have really sent out shockwaves like the way Rajasthan Royals have. If today it's been Rajasthan Royals and rest of everybody has been on the similar footing. You have to say Lucknow Super Giants, Gujarat Titans, Punjab Kings, everybody have been on a similar footing. So if I have to pick one team, it's Rajasthan Royals, and rest of them will all share the points. But if I have to pick one more team, I'll say Punjab Kings because of two reasons. Punjab Kings was not really given that opportunity at the start of the season, as was not really considered. But this time around, they are looking like a team to beat as well, because on certain surfaces they will be very handy, considering the fact that they've got a decent spin bowling attack as well with Rahul Chair and Harpreet Brar, and also Raza also can step up with the ball, and also fast ballers with Sam Curran, Arshdeep Singh, Kagiso Rabada, Nathan Ellis if need be. Looks like a potent team. Now let's talk about let's talk about Delhi Capitals, right? What a horrendous season so far for Delhi Capitals. I mean, at the start of the season, though we were expecting them not to have a good season like the last time or the years before, you have to say this time around they've really been disappointing. A lot of things have not gone their way when it comes to decision making, tactical calls, and also when it comes to batters not stepping up. Now, that these are factors which you need to consider, especially if you are talking about as a team and if you want to really perform well. Delhi Capitals, to an extent, have faced the brunt of their own issues. Now, when it comes to poor auction strategy, uh, you have to say poor auction strategy is one of the primary reasons why they have not had a good season. Poor auction strategies, which also include not selling of someone like a Shardul Thakur this season. Was it a good idea? Maybe not. And if you look at the larger scheme of things in this season, they would have wanted someone like a Shardul Thakur. It did not go well for them. And they went for too many players who could bat at the top of the order. Now, that is not a good thing, right? If you're building a team, you need to have a better mix. Now, who did they go for? They went for someone like a Wiley Russo. They went for someone like a Phil Salt. They went in for someone like a Mitchell Marsh, who they already had in the squad, and they tried to bring in Mukesh Kumar, which is still a decent buy. But are they effective enough at the end of the day? They certainly are not. They brought in Manish Pandey as well, who again is a top order bat. He bats number 3 and number 4 for Karnataka. So they have not really gone for players who can do a job for them at number 5, number 6. Now, if you look in T20 cricket in the recent past, the batters who have rescued teams and who have helped teams to win are always the players who have come at number 6, number 5. If you talk about last season's Gujarat Titans is a primary example. David Miller and Hardik Pandya had season next to 450. Now, a player, when you have two players in the middle order having seasons of 450 odd, you eventually go on to do well. The game against Lucknow Super Giants and RCB is a primary example where top order failed. They were 3 down in the power play, but still went down to chase 212. Now, Kolkata Knight Riders was the Gujarat Titans for that liking, or Gujarat Titans, which is no Kolkata Knight Riders was Sunrisers Hyderabad. Though they lost in match, they still scored 200 in excess of 200 because that lower order was able to contribute pretty well. So in the modern day and age, you need a strong core of number 5, 6, 7 in order to really cross the line. That doesn't mean you need to have a bad top order. You have a good top order. You have Prithvi Shaw, David Warner. Yeah, for that liking, you could have given someone like Yash Dul a longer run. Now, let's look at the now if you look at the Delhi Capitals team, David Warner has scored runs, right? David Warner has scored a lot of runs. Now I'll pull up the orange cap list as well. You'll see David Warner featuring in that particular list with 228 runs. Now the question is, have these 228 runs come in winning cause for them? Now that is the biggest issue. Now we have used this term called stat padding, right? Now that's something which we would like to associate with this team at this point of stage. David Warner has scored runs, definitely, but for his personal gain, at the end of the day, if you look in the larger scheme of things, it does not really help the team for any good. Now, Prithvi Shaw has been the biggest disappointment of the season so far. Now, we talk about Prithvi Shaw so highly all the time. Now, why has he been a disappointment? Why has he been a disappointment again? Fitness is one of the reasons. You saw that run out against RCB where he's been slow in the wicket. Technical flaws, one again leaving major gap between bat and pad while shuffling across. Now, he added back and across movement in Vijay Hazare Trophy into 2021, and again he went away from that. Now, if you talk about Prithvi Shaw in 2021, after that Border Gavaskar Trophy, he went on to work with Praveen Amle. He tried to correct a lot of his technical flaws and he came very good in the domestic circuit. But once again, what he has done is he has gone with his instinctive gameplay, which is not really his strength. Because in a tournament like IPL, when you have quality ballers, you will be found out extremely quickly. And that's one thing which has gone against Prithvi Shaw. You have to say that back and across movement, which is slightly a subtle back and across movement, which he had in 2021, he has actually gone away from it. That back and across movement, one thing which it really did was it helped him to close the gap between bat and ball, bat and pad rather, and also it also helped him to get in better position to play the pull shot well, which he also struggled with in Australian conditions when he played at Border Gavaskar Trophy. So now at this point of stage, you have to say Prithvi Shaw really have to go to the back room and work hard, because in IPL you get found out a lot more. In domestic cricket, you can still be not found out and you can still score a lot of runs, because nowadays a lot of these surfaces are flat in nature. So it's about the conditions which you score runs in domestic cricket, which needs to be considered rather than the stats which you have. Because now in domestic cricket, you also have a lot of these lower ranked teams. So it's easy to score a 300 against Assam, a 300 against Nagaland, and Arunachal, look good when it comes to stats. So it's about time Prithvi Shaw really steps up as a player, because it's too good a talent to be wasted off. So that's one thing Delhi Capitals will be really hoping their openers come good, because they did not want their openers to fail miserably and not score runs in an impactful manner. Now, secondly, Mitchell Marsh. Such an important player for them. Now, Mitchell Marsh, it's about time he comes good, because if Mitchell Marsh comes good, that's going to really help this team to be aggressive up top, to really play that brand of cricket which will really help them to score a lot of runs. Now, they have nothing to lose at this point of stage. They've lost 5 in a row. There's only one way, that is way up from here on. They've hit the rock bottom. Now for David Warner and for Delhi Capitals, they'll want to come together as a unit and really believe, okay, let's do a job from here on. Let's really, push things. And they'll be playing next game against Kolkata Knight Riders as well. So they want to really, put a statement by saying, okay, we can do a job. Let's get a win against Kolkata Knight Riders. Let's go all out, play aggressive brand, and they want Yash Dul as well. Now, if you're not really having that belief with Prithvi Shaw up top, bring someone like a Yash Dul or Sarfaraz Khan up top and see how it goes for a small period of time. Because at this point, what Delhi Capitals needs is the refreshments. Abhishek Porel. Now, if you're just using him as a wicketkeeper number 8, it's not going to do him any good. That's an absolutely waste of a time position. So you have to use him better as well. Maybe it's time that you send him up top as well. So you can shuffle around with your batting order a little bit and see how things go. And one of the major setback has been Rauman Powell not really coming into the show, because Rauman Powell struggles against leg spinners now. A news which has gone around very quickly, and that's really meant that whenever Rauman Powell has come into bat, the entry point of a leg spinner also is very imminent, and he struggled immensely against a leg spinner. So that's one of the reasons why Delhi Capitals have struggled throughout the season. So we've got a question as well on. The question is basically thoughts on Delhi Capitals having too many opinions. That's a very good question, primarily because you have a Ricky Ponting, you have a Saurav Ganguly, you have a David Warner, and you have too many of these players, too many of these opinions. Doesn't always work well. You have a Shane Watson as well, another big figure, James Hopes, Ajit Agarkar. All these people are vocal people. Now, one trait with all these people are they're all very vocal when it comes to them giving their opinions. That's something which is not good. Now, if you talk about the greatest eras of Kolkata Knight Riders, I'll pull up Kolkata Knight Riders for one reason, because just listening to one of the interviews of Joy Bhattacharya, he was a team manager for them and he was director of cricket for them. He always used to maintain this: whenever you give that power to the captain to run the show, you should give the complete power to the captain to run the show. It's either the coach's team or the captain's team. It cannot be too many people's team. We have seen certain teams fail over the years when owners have gotten involved, when captains, when there are multiple captains in the team, when there are multiple coaches trying to give an opinion. Let's take a success story of Chennai Super Kings. It is Mahendra Singh Dhoni's team, but Stephen Fleming really helps with things off the field. But when it's on the field, it is Dhoni's team, and that is how you should consider it. Dhoni is a one man who takes those calls alongside Stephen Fleming helping them from the back room. Now, if it is David Warner's team or Ricky Ponting's team, that's one thing which they'll have to come into conclusions with. It's an understandable season for them because Rishabh Pant was their primary captain, but he missed out due to his unfortunate accident. So it is something which can come as a shock. But then to play the cricket they have shown by showing no fight at all, they have thrown towels on the game way before the game is even over. So those are things which they like to improve on. The only bright prospect has been their bowling so far. It has come good in the last two matches, especially while they were trying to defend the total against Mumbai and against RCB. They've been able to pick up wickets. So this could be a silver lining for them. And to build on from here on is what they'll be hoping. Now, as long as their batting don't come into the party, they will struggle as a team to make it to the playoffs. Now, not a lot of teams have made it to the playoffs after being 0-5. Now, that is possible. If you look at the history of IPL, they'll say otherwise, right? You can still come back out of the rut and still make it to the playoffs. It is possible because this season's IPL has been extremely close. A lot of teams are just two wins away from Delhi Capitals at this point of stage, right? They're at 4 points and Delhi Capitals are at 0 points at this point of stage. So they'll believe there's some the top team or the team in the number 2 position is just 3 wins away from us. That's just 6 points away from us. So that's the way they'll be wanting to look into the season, and they won't take a lot of confidence from that. So that is about it from looking at the teams from the last week. Let's look at the orange cap and purple cap as well. Let's start with purple cap because it's always the ballers who wins the tournaments at the end of the day. Yuzuvendra Chahal once again, really coming in and saying to the world, okay, he still got it. Regardless of what his position in Team India is, he's still the bowler to pick up wickets, whichever team he plays for, whichever surfaces he plays on. He's still your attacking man. And you have to say, alongside him, Mark Wood has been one of the primary prospects as well. You have to say, which includes a 5 wicket haul. After that 5 wicket haul in the first 2 games, where he picked up 8 wickets, he slightly jaded away. Teams have been able to target him a little bit more better. But you have to say, Rashid Khan, once again, that had to really help him. Mohammad Shami up front with the new ball is the toughest ball in the IPL to face, one can say so. He's been able to swing the ball and seam the ball perfectly well. And Ravi Bishnoi, you have to say, alongside Yuzuvendra Chahal, the bowler who has been extremely good in picking up wickets and also been defensive in a straight as well. You can say it's a complete package for a T20 bowler. He can ball the defensive lines if need be, ball in the death, and at the same time, pick up wickets in the tougher overs and whenever you need a wicket. So KL Rahul's go-to man has been Ravi Bishnoi and Mark Wood. One of the reasons why Lucknow Super Giants might have even a better season than what they had in their opening season could be this two ballers. Now, when you look at the orange cap, Shikhar Dhawan played that beautiful knock of 99 against Sunrisers Hyderabad, looked good, but missed out in the last game due to an injury. Shubman Gill has been scoring runs consistently, so that is a prospect. That's a good prospect. And he scored a match-winning 50 against Punjab Kings as well. Virat Kohli is there in that list. 350s in Chinnaswamy Stadium. He looks to be very motivated to go out there and score runs and play in front of the home ground. And he's been playing fast bowling like any other. You have to say one batter who has really taken on the best fast bowlers of the tournament at complete ease. It is Virat Kohli. But for Virat Kohli himself, he'll be really kicking that he's not been able to convert those 50 into 80s and 90s. He'd really want to do that. But this time, Virat Kohli has been extremely different as well. He's shown the intent, regardless of it is coming out or not. He's really shown that intent that he wants to go out there and dominate the spin. So if it comes off on a good day, he will go on to score 100 as well, especially in Chinnaswamy. So tonight we have a game. Before we end the live, let's look at tonight's game. It is Chennai Super Kings versus Chennai Super Kings Royal Challengers Bangalore. So we already had a fantasy prediction. So someone had asked us a fantasy prediction. Let's look at fantasy predictions for the day, right? Because very interesting matchup. Royal Challengers Bangalore, phenomenal team so far in the tournament with Chennai Super Kings. Historical rivalry, of course. They've always had the Southern Derby, as they call it. Now, let's understand what to really understand from this game, because this could be one of those matches where things could go either way for these teams. Number one, for Royal Challengers Bangalore, they would want to get that win. They did not want to lose at home at this point of stage, at least because they are playing 6 out of the 7 games at home. Then they're going to be traveling for 5 games in a row away from home. So that is not a good thing. So whatever wins they would want to get, they would want to accumulate right now in home and get at least go to the away leg with at least 6 to 8 points in their kitty. Then they'll give them a lot more confidence if they can get 3 to 4 wins in that 5-game run which they have away from home. They really believe that they can make it to playoffs when they come back home as well. So that is one thing Royal Challengers Bangalore will be hoping. But for Chennai Super Kings, despite of their injuries, they want to keep going the way they're doing. Ruturaj Gaikwad is still their go-to man. He looks to be in exemplary form, right? He's really looked like a batter who can take on the spinners, and his pace game and his power game has also improved drastically this season. So he is one player to watch out for from this season, I'd say. And if you talk about someone like I have to be very honest when it comes to Devon Conway as well. In a ground like Chinnaswamy, he's a player to watch out for. Shorter boundaries, and with the leg spinners balling into him, he'd really look to take on to the square leg boundary as well. So Devon Conway, Ruturaj Gaikwad, the opening pair of Chennai Super Kings will be the players to watch out for from this today's game. And when you talk about RCB as well, you have to say it has to come down to Mohammad Siraj. And today it's expected that Josh Hazelwood might be back. If Josh Hazelwood is back, it'll all again depend on what rhythm is he on. He's coming after an Achilles tendon injury, so it's never easy to come back after such an injury and to get going in complete rhythm. Mohammad Siraj is once again going to be the bowler for RCB to pick up the wicket. If he can break the back, which is to pick up the top 3 of Chennai Super Kings, then RCB will be on top of the game. But for Chennai Super Kings, it's all about how they attack the opening bowlers. If Chennai Super Kings can get out of the opening spell of Mohammad Siraj and maybe Wayne Parner without losing any wickets, they'll look to target the spinners, because tonight with a lot of humidity also in Bangalore, it's not going to be easy for the spinners because there's going to be exemplary amount of dew, and that's going to make spinners really go out of the game. But if the surface grips by a tad bit, then Ravindra Jadeja becomes a potent weapon in tonight's game. And if you look historically, Mahendra Singh Dhoni has dominated these contests with the bat. He has always enjoyed playing in Chinnaswamy Stadium, smaller grounds, and he'll really be hoping that he comes good, even if though he's batting at number 8. But if he gets an opportunity earlier on to come to bat, or if he wants to promote himself to bat, he's going to be the player to watch out for, because you can expect some big sixes going straight into Cubbon Park near the roads as well. So that's about it from us. It was fantastic joining you all, taking all your comments. We'll be trying to do this almost every week if possible, or if something really good happens as well. If there's a big match, we'll try to talk about it before the match and give you some data, some predictions. So that's about it. Thank you all for joining us. It was pleasure having to do this first live with you all. Take care, all of you. We'll be back very soon. And do not forget to subscribe to our channel if you're watching this video right now. And if you're new to our channel, and also share this video with your family and friends so that we can keep bringing you with more of this content. And do check out our new videos as well. We have decoded the mystery spinners on our channel as well. So check that out. If you find it interesting, do give it a like and comment as well. Keep giving us all of your questions so we can keep taking it in the next live as well. Take care, stay safe, and see you all very soon. Bye-bye.